Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Professor, and the Research Park team for giving me this opportunity to talk to you all. I am Srinath, one of the co-founders of this company called Agnikul Cosmos, where we are building, rockets to take small satellites to space. We really believe in, making the experience of going to space as simple as, probably taking a Ola to space. That is what we are really trying to do. Today, I wanted to talk about something I deeply care about. In this entire journey of Agnikul as well, this has shaped a lot of my thinking and the decisions you have made in a business sense. About why design in India is probably as important, or probably even more important than make in India for truly being self-reliant. So I'll just take you through what I have understood as being in this industry about what does make in India, what does it probably not directly address, not like a flaw, but some points that could probably enhance it better. What a design in India initiative could be like. Also talk about what it should not be, and finally how we can actually put it in place at least over the next 25 years. So one of the best things that has happened in our country in 2014, I was in the US at that time. I remember that very clearly. This announcement of Make in India came, and it's I think one of the best working programs. It has done a lot of good for the country, right? Particularly in terms of self-reliance. So many people have gotten employment here. FDI has increased. I think more importantly, we are actually gearing up to do some of the best world-class manufacturing. So that part I think we've already taken care of. Now, and the other interesting thing is it is pretty much addressed any sector you could imagine, right? Everything starting from railways to space to automobiles, name it and it is there. I think there's also something on media and entertainment. So everything has been covered. So in that sense, it's very comprehensive, but it is addressing only one part of the question in my perspective. First thing I think it's probably not directly addressing is the power of going from 0 to 1. We obviously know how to go from 1 to n. Contract manufacturing is something that we have mastered. We've always been very good at that, and this is actually enhanced it a lot more. But 0 to 1 creation, startups are doing it now to a large extent, but I think that was somewhat missed out in the Make in India part. Solving actual design problems as opposed to taking something and then copy pasting it, that also sort of got missed. I also think that is in some sense indirectly inhibiting us in terms of staying ahead of the curve in technology, right? Someone does the design, give it in India, you'll get 1,000 copies of it flawlessly. I think that part was something that has now become a bit of a norm. I also think that, there is, whenever we import something or whenever we are given a design to create, not many people even care to understand why it is done that way. More importantly, maybe it's not even shared. It is actually a trade secret, right? Why is that important? Because that is what is needed for further innovation from there. Otherwise, you're always starting from ground zero whenever we want to do some innovation in the country. So I think these are probably things that we could address, given that we have achieved a lot in the manufacturing front. Now, this is again from my experience of being outside the country, talking to people, hiring people for our own startups, and I'm pretty sure other entrepreneurs may have come across this as well. There are some certain misconceptions, unfortunately, about India, right? One thing is, if you really want to do something very interesting and innovative, go to the US or go to the West or whatever country. But India may not be the place. I've heard this from a majority of people. I've also seen a lot of people, particularly when I'm doing business in Agnikul itself, that people just are so satisfied with the contract manufacturing model, right? They really think we can contract manufacture our way to glory, which is an essential component, but not enough. Sort of like this, not it's necessary but not sufficient. And of course, there is also this confidence in reverse engineering anything that we get, but do we really focus on that? Should we be doing that? Is a question to be thinking about. One other point before getting to design in India is focusing on some of the strengths we have, right? A very vast, young talent pool, a lot of them passionate, a lot of them wanting to do something, right? And the other thing that I have come to realize is, Jugaad is in our blood, right? Starting from probably getting, I think Prof was also mentioning about in Rains, people are taking boats to come to office and all that on the first day. We all, like, in the morning, if I get up, I don't know if there'll be water in the bathroom. I think a lot of people face that kind of problems, right? So there is always some level of hands-on being there. And I think that is something to actually carefully utilize because it has somehow gotten into our society. It has somehow gotten into the way we work. So that is something we could exploit. A lot of good infrastructure is available. Just in the previous conversation, we're talking about the supercomputer. A lot of that stuff is available here. Many other labs are available and also really good academic systems. IITs, different institutions are here. So with that background and what we have achieved in Make in India, should we start thinking about design in India, right? Where we are really focusing on, original creation, original design, and then taking it from, 0 to 1, and then again taking it from 1 to 1. And what can we do to incentivize this thinking, right? It's easy to go and say, okay, do design, but then design has its risks. We don't know if we will get what we want. There's going to be a timeline, lead time. What is the return on investment? All of the business metrics start to come in. So that is something to also be addressed. But I think one important thing it could be about, again, this is from my personal experience with me, what I've heard and what I've seen in hiring, is reversing the entire brain drain part, right? It should be like the first thing someone thinks about when they want to do something really interesting with their career. There should be something in India for that. And unfortunately, I don't think that's a majority of the thinking today. Okay. So a design element could also be about reducing dependency on outside, which is obviously coming from inside creation. The other part is, I think we should basically be able to enable industries to take risk, to be able to do R&D and financially do that. So in some sense, I could summarize it by saying, okay, constructing a system to do Jugaad right could probably be what this design in India is about. What it should not be about is extremely short-term stuff without any systems in place, unnecessarily reinventing the wheel, doing design because you have to do design. All of those things should definitely be avoided. Also, this whole question of, okay, it's R&D, I can take an infinite amount of time to get it done. That also doesn't, work really. And the why part of it is clear, right? I mean, it builds credibility. Going from 0 to 1 actually allows a completely different level of self-reliance. It's not about just copy-pasting stuff. I think it bridges the gap between academia and industry automatically, because a lot of the 0 to 1 happens at the academia level. Lastly, how to get there as a nation itself, I would probably say policy changes are required that that allow industries to take risk. If you go and ask a real big industry or even a MSME today to design a new component for you, they neither have the time or the resources to actually put into it because the business model doesn't support it, right? Open-ended questions, okay, a small part, a slight refinement in machining, they can. But if you're going to ask them to do real design, the way things are happening today just doesn't work from a financial standpoint. So what are we going to do to actually benefit? That is something to address. I also think there are the bridges have to be built clearly to bridge what is happening in labs in different academic institutions, in different research places, to a core industry, right? That bridge is there, but I would still think there is a lot more to be done, particularly in terms of getting it directly there. It's almost like there should be some program for every department in every meaningful academic institution to directly serve some industry. Some model like that could be proposed to actually facilitate this. I also think there is a bit of an education to be done that a lot of cool stuff is happening in India. It's unfortunate that doesn't get spoken about that much. Of course, marketing is not the solution for everything, but it does get a few things done. So that is one more point I think we should be focusing on. And finally, a framework to incentivize productive R&D, right? And this is, I think, two-pronged. One is R&D by itself is self-rewarding. If you really figure out something that no one else has or no one else in the world has, it does pay off automatically in terms of the uniqueness you've created, right? That alone is something. But beyond that, to take the effort and do it, is there a clear reward mechanism outside, say from a government scheme or from academic institutions or whatever, wherein we are saying, okay, if you do this kind of R&D, besides your production, then you are incentivized in some way. Some tax rebate or something like that may also help. So I think that's how we could actually incorporate this into the day-to-day functioning of our country itself. And that's it. I think the last part I want to say is it's not really only about design in India. You could think of all of these parts, right? Make in India is literally the last piece of the puzzle, and interestingly, we have fixed it, or at least largely fixed it. All of these other opportunities are also open to us, and we should tap into them. That's what I wanted to share today, and thank you very much.